It's happened again. You meet someone. At first it feels different. There's a connection, a spark, something that feels promising. Conversations flow. The energy feels strong. You start thinking this could actually go somewhere. Maybe even long term. And then, almost without warning, the same thing happens again. They pull away. They become inconsistent. They can't meet you where you are. And you're left asking yourself the same question you've asked before. Why does this keep happening to me? Here's the truth. Most people never say out loud. You're not unlucky in love. You're addicted to what feels familiar. Many of us grew up learning that love meant uncertainty, tension, emotional distance. Our nervous system learned to recognize those feelings as normal. So later in life, when we meet someone who triggers those same emotions, anxiety, chasing, confusion, we mistake that feeling for chemistry. But it's not chemistry. It's conditioning. Your nervous system is responding to what it learned long ago, not what is healthy, not what actually serves you, just what it recognizes. That's why people who cannot meet your needs can feel strangely attractive, not because they're right for you, but because they are familiar to the parts of you that were shaped by survival. And until that pattern becomes conscious, the cycle repeats. This is where real power begins. Because the moment you recognize the pattern, you realize something important. Those patterns were learned, which means they can also be unlearned. You begin to question the attraction itself. You begin to notice the signs earlier. You start asking yourself a different question. Not, why don't they choose me? But, why does this dynamic feel familiar to me? That question changes everything. Because healing isn't about blaming yourself for what hurt you. You are not responsible for the wounds that shaped your early survival. But as an adult, you are responsible for healing them. Your behavior patterns may not have started with you, but they do end with you. Breaking the cycle requires awareness. It requires honesty. And sometimes it requires choosing what initially feels unfamiliar. Calm instead of chaos. Consistency instead of uncertainty. Peace instead of pursuit. At first, healthy love can even feel strange because your nervous system hasn't practiced it yet. But the more you choose alignment over familiarity, the more your system begins to reset. And that is the real definition of sovereignty. Sovereignty is not just independence. It is the awareness to recognize the patterns you inherited and the courage to choose differently. Not from fear, not from old wounds, but from the truth of who you are becoming. When you start choosing relationships that align with your values, your peace, and your growth, the cycle finally breaks, and the life that once felt impossible begins to open. Because true sovereignty begins the moment you stop repeating the past and start consciously choosing your future. If this message resonated with you, there's a deeper conversation waiting in the next video on your screen.